Il a déjà des allures d'homme d'affaires. Nick, 17 ans, et déjà un chèque d'environ 20 millions d'euros en poche. La raison?
Nick D'Aloisio is a regular 16-year-old kid. He studies, he plays sports, he goes to parties. Oh yeah, and he has his own tech startup backed by the 11th richest man in the world. Nick's meteoric rise all started after seeing Scott Forstall at an Apple event in 2008.
So it was about 11 and 12 when the App Store was announced, so I watched Scott Forstall on stage announce this at an event. I remember going into an Apple Store like the day after going, how do you learn to program? And it was just people at the shops that didn't know how. So I bought a book, C for Dummies.
For the rest of us dummies, C is a programming language, a tool used for designing and writing apps. Growing up in London, Nick was only 12 when he conceptualized and created his first app. Problem is, Apple says you have to be 16 years old, so 12-year-old Nick submitted it under his father's name. The app was called FaceMood.
FaceMood was a sentiment analysis algorithm that would take your Facebook status, try and parse it, and come up with the mood of a user. And so I think this is a really interesting concept as well, this kind of sentiment analysis, but it was through that that I got into kind of summarization or looking at text and trying to deduce certain things from it.
Nick made about 30,000 bucks over the course of 3 years. Not too shabby for an app written by a 5th grader.
At a very young age, he was just interested in anything to do with technology.
Nick's mother, Diana, always knew he was no ordinary kid.
We have a video of Nicholas when he was about 1 or even less, and he was trying to build blocks on the carpet and he couldn't do it, and he just kept going and going and going and going until he got it. And that's sort of a bit like he is now. He never ever gives up.
It was that sort of dedication and level of commitment to programming that attracted investors and industry leaders to Nick's side. That and his new idea.
I created a company called Sumly.
After seeing a beta version and meeting Nick, Amazon veteran Bart Swanson decided to take a chance on the teenager and become chairman of his company.
He's a manic focus upon product development, user experience, not accepting mediocrity. Full stop. You know, there's a huge emotional intelligence. He is not the ordinary 15 or 16-year-old.
Of course, that maturity and precociousness are great qualities to launch a company, but it makes him a bit of a handful at home.
It's difficult when he goes off to, say, San Francisco to go and talk to investors, and then he comes home and you say, well, you know, you've got to be home at this time, and you can't do that.
This is a 16-year-old kid we're talking about here. Does he deserve all the hype?
Well, remember that most, startup investments and venture capital investments and investments in 16-year-old kids, most of them fail. This one may succeed. It may end up being a great thing. He may end up having a great career. It's very dangerous at this age to get this much money and this much attention.
Nick's mom and dad will be watching closely while he remains hyper-focused on creating the perfect product.
I mean, I like to when I want to do something, do it. It's something I've always tried to do in life, so it's kind of, I'm pretty almost stubborn sometimes in terms of wanting to really just do and getting obsessive actually over what I want to do.